Welcome back to Learn at Hive. In this quick Python tutorial, we are learning about exceptions, how to handle errors the smart way and keep your program running smoothly. In programming, things don't always go as planned. Files might be missing, users might enter invalid input, or unexpected values could break your calculations. That's where exceptions come in. These are special error messages that are raised when the interpreter encounters a problem during execution. Rather than letting your entire program crash, Python gives you tools to catch these errors. Let's dive in and see them in detail. Python uses try and except blocks to catch and handle runtime errors without crashing the program. So the whole script doesn't crash unexpectedly. For example, if you try to open a file that doesn't exist or convert invalid input to a number, Python would normally raise an error. There are various types of errors, and common exceptions include file not found, value, or zero division error. By handling these exceptions and more, we can control how our program responds. So keep in mind, try, except, and another thing that is important is race. You can manually trigger an error using race to enforce conditions or validations, which is useful when we want to enforce custom rules or input validations. So keep in mind, try, except, and race. Now let's see the general syntax for Python exceptions. So here's the general syntax. First block we will talk about is try. The try block contains code that might raise an error, and Python will monitor this part for exceptions. An exception occurs of any type, the except block runs and handles the issue. If no exception occurs at all, the else block is executed, which is useful for code that should only run when everything goes smoothly. Finally, the finally block runs no matter what, whether an error happened or not. This is ideal for cleanup actions like closing files or releasing resources, ensuring that certain steps are always taken regardless of the outcome. Let's see some code examples and deepen our knowledge. So everyone, let's see how general syntax works on a specific problem. Let's define try, except, else, and finally blocks respectively. Start from try. So what are we going to do is we will try to convert a string into an integer. So we will use input function and int function only with a variable and print statements. So let's start by try. The code that has a potential to raise an error is something like a conversion. So let's type h equals integer that takes input and input prompts to enter h. Here the prompt string is enter your age, and if user enters something in the right format, it will cast it to integer, otherwise it should raise an error. Then just print your age's age. So if they type something that's not a number, it should raise an error. Let's type except. What type of error? You can use any error type you want, but the most appropriate one is value error. So let's type value error and print type is not correct. Else, it's also an extra block that executes if there is no exception. So you can just move this print here. It will be more reasonable. Now here. Also define a final block. So it runs no matter what, used for cleanup or information. You can just print execution is finished. Let's run it and let's enter something valid. Let's enter 20. And as you can see, it displays your age is 20 and execution is finished. Let's run it again and enter something meaningless. Let's type me. It displays type is not correct and execution is finished. This block runs whether there is an exception or not. This one runs only if no exception exists, and this one helps program to continue running. You can also raise the error instead of printing something. Let's just type raise. So you can use raise keyword. What type of error you will raise? So I will raise a value error. It is not a number. And let's do that again. Type me. And as you can see, it raised an value error and its message is it's not a number. So you can show your customized message to the user. Let's recap and try to open a file that does not exist. So let's write our try block and type with open. You can remember it from our last two videos. Data.txt and R in read mode. So it will not create, but it will open it only if it exists as file. Content equals file.read is all in once, print content. And also do not forget the except block, otherwise it won't run. Except print file not found. And let's run it. It displays file not found. You can also specify the error type. So in this case, it's file not found error. Now you can see it's highlighted in orange, so it recognizes. And again, it matches and it says file not found. If you type something like this, value error, it won't match and it will raise another exception. You can also write multiple exceptions like this, except file not found error, print file not found. And correct this as in example, invalid data, invalid data. Now let's run it again. It says file not found. You can also try to take H and convert it to, this time no prompt because I will show you in a brief way. It waits for an input. It does not show anything. So I will type me. It says invalid data now. If I type in example 25, it will pass the value error and it will jump to file not found because the current error is this one. So since it raises file not found error, it will display file not found. It won't do anything for value error since we have provided our input in a valid type. We have finished another tutorial here. Let's recap. Use try, except, and raise to handle errors and control your program's flow. You are equipped to write more reliable code. By preparing for the unexpected, your programs can stay in control, respond to errors gracefully, and provide a better experience overall. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to support us if you enjoyed the video.